Hey there, it is Colin, and in this video, I'm going to explain to you how to add 10 to 50K to your service business in the next 30 days with a simple Google Ads funnel that we use. Now, it's going to work pretty much for any local service business, things like plumbing, roofing, pressure cleaning, anything similar, basically. Now, just a little bit about me. I run a local growth group, and what we do is set up and manage Google Ads funnels that I'm about to explain to you. And we've successfully added 10 to 50K in consistent monthly revenue for our service business clients, hence where we got that number from. Now, in this video, we're going to cover why it's important to have a marketing funnel like the one we're going to show, the funnel anatomy, how it works, and why I think this is the best funnel for service businesses, especially if you're just starting out with digital marketing. Now, the problems that your service business are likely facing is one of, if not all of these three. So, one, you're not getting enough consistent leads. Two, you're reliant on referrals for jobs. And three, the majority of the leads that you are getting are tire kickers. Now, once you solve these problems, you'll be able to stabilize and grow your business sustainably. Now, let's just break down these problems with a little bit more detail. So, if you don't have a system to generate consistent leads, your business is going to have inconsistent and unpredictable cash flow, which means that you'll be left vulnerable during slow periods of the year. And it generally is going to lead to instability, right? Secondly, if you depend on referrals for work, well, this is completely out of your control for the most part. And it means that you're relying on other people to grow your business, which I don't think I need to tell you that isn't an effective way to grow. In my opinion, it's a valid long-term business solution. I'm sure you know, and I know plenty of businesses that, over 10, 20, 30 years have grown to a massive size. But like I just said, you can see the theme of that is that they take 10, 20, or 30 years, meaning it's a very slow process and it isn't a methodical way to predictably grow quickly, especially if you want to grow right now, right? And thirdly, the more customers you have, the more you can avoid tire kickers, right? So if you've booked out your calendar with jobs, well, you don't need to accept work from those tire kickers. So if you're desperate for work, you inevitably have to accept tire kickers for jobs. And when I say tire kickers, I mean the people that are low ballers, don't pay you what you're worth, and they're just difficult people to deal with. So this means you're going to be working for less than you're worth, and it's obviously stressful having to do that. So all of your problems lead here. Until you solve your lead gen issues, you're going to have inconsistent income. You're going to continue to stress, and your business will continue to be unstable. And you can say goodbye to the idea of trying to hire or scale your business, right? Now, with our funnel, it actually solves these problems. So once you get a consistent stream of leads, well, obviously you're going to have a consistent income. Two, you'll be able to tell those tire kickers to piss off. And three, you'll be able to take on more staff and actually grow the business. And four, a bit of a bonus one. If you don't have a system that automatically generates leads consistently, you're not going to be able to sell the business, right? Because a lot of tradies and a lot of service businesses, their business is a bit built around them as a person. So if you build an actual system that is no longer dependent on you and can actually grow itself and maintain a consistent stream of leads, you're going to be able to sell your business. It becomes an asset, which also adds value to yourself in your net worth, right? And assuming this helps you grow, you also be able to sell it at a higher valuation. So that's something to definitely consider, especially if you want to retire later on, right? Okay, so now for the funnel anatomy. So this is a simple funnel, and I want to just explain how it works in this video. And I'll be breaking down each part in greater detail in future videos, so make sure you subscribe and like. But for now, I will explain what each part does, why it's important, and the key considerations when doing each part. So it may look simple for some of you, may look complex, but I'm going to break it down and make sure it's easily digestible. So our funnel is built based on targeting people searching for your service on Google. The reason being is these people are what I like to call ready to buy users. They're the top part of the market. And at any given time, your market is only going to have a small percentage of people that are looking for your service and need your service, right? So we are targeting those people. And we know they need the service and they want the service because they're searching for it on Google. Because why else, why else would you look for a search for an electrician or a plumber or a roofer on Google, right? So yeah, that's why we're targeting them. And something you need to consider in your funnel is to make sure you're targeting the right keywords. So focus on relevance. So making sure you're getting the right service in the right location. Pretty simple. And you want to get the intent correct. The correct intent. So make sure they're looking for a service. Make sure they're not, looking for information. They're not looking for a product. Make sure it's the service that you provide. And finally, you want to be choosing services that make sense for your business. So Things like which services are the most profitable, which ones do I like doing, which ones make me the most money, that kind of stuff, right? So you want to choose, you want to prioritize those services that are the best option for your business. Then we use Google Ads to target these people. So people search on Google, and then we want your ad to pop up so that so that they click on your Google ad and come through to your landing page sec. So with that part of the funnel, you want to make sure your click through rate is as high as possible. So we achieve this through, once again, maximizing relevance through, including words about your service and location. You want to maximize your credibility. So you want to talk about things like reviews, awards, anything that makes you more trustworthy and authority, things like experience and competence, that kind of stuff. If you can demonstrate that, you're going to get a high click-through rate, which means you're going to get more clicks and more people visiting your site and therefore more customers. Then you have your landing page. This is where they're directed to, the website page that they're directed to after they click on your ad. And this is a chance for you to showcase your business and the services you provide. And this is where you convert them into leads or job inquiries, right? So it's really important that you get this right, because this will affect how often people convert into a lead or your conversion rate, right? So once again, you want to focus on relevance, credibility, and authority. And on your landing page, you want a visually appealing design, fast load-in time, and a whole other bunch of factors, but obviously we're not covering that in this video, but those are the main things to consider. From there, on the landing page, they're going to be converting into a job inquiry, whether that's a form submission or a phone call. And it's really important to, well, maximize this, obviously, right? So how do we do that? We want to make the call to action very clear and easy to find. So the call to action, meaning instructions on how to contact you, whether that's a phone number or a form submission. You want to instruct them on how to contact you and how to work with you. And then you want to reduce the risk. So the perceived effort of contacting and working with you, and things like security. They might be worried about the contact information being secure, that kind of stuff. Write anything that reduces that perceived risk, right? Finally, something that a lot of people don't do is SMS and email automation. So one, you need to send a confirmation message to your leads, right, to keep them warm. So make sure that they know that you got your message and that you'll contact them very soon and thank them for their inquiry. So this makes you more professional, and it also keeps them warm, so they're less likely to go to a competitor, basically. And more importantly, you need to be notifying yourself or your team when a lead comes in, so that way you can respond within 5 to 10 minutes. Taking any longer will drastically reduce the chances of you closing that lead. So it's very important that you respond right away and have the systems in place for that. Finally, you want to call leads and book them in. So this is relatively simple. Once someone submits a form or directly calls you, you want to pick up the phone and call them and book them in. Depending on the industry, things like how expensive your service is, how competitive it is, that kind of stuff. You can be booking in quite a high rate of these. I've had clients book in 30% for higher ticket jobs, but even 70+% for those smaller jobs. And like I said, this is because we're targeting people that are ready to buy, and they're searching on Google because they need your service, right? So it's relatively easy to book them in, and you don't need to be a crazy, salesman or like a Wolf of Wall Street kind of guy to actually book them in. So this is why I really like this funnel. Which leads me to my next point, why I think this is the best funnel for service businesses. For starters, it's relatively cheap, and you can get started with as little as 1K a month. And there's Google Ads promotion. So if you haven't seen them before, it can be something like spend 1,000, get a free 1,000 in ad credits. So basically, it adds a bit of a safety net and lets you get off the ground that much easier. And like I said, $1,000 is honestly not that much money if you're really invested in your business. And yeah, it's one of those methods that you don't need a lot to start up. So I think it's fantastic, especially if you're a small business. Secondly, you can get a fast ROI and it's relatively low risk. So you can get leads within a couple of days after launching a campaign. Like I've seen plenty of times getting leads literally on the day that we launched the campaign. So secondly, it's not that advanced and risky as SEO, in my opinion. So, or just any other method. Firstly, it's not that straightforward like doing SEO, and it can take a lot of time and financial investment before you see any results. If you see any results at all, that is. If you don't know what you're doing, it can be very demoralizing and difficult. And I think it is a great method, but I wouldn't even do it until I have another funnel like Google Ads set up, getting me the cash flow coming first, right? So it's something I would do later, and therefore it's something that's not really appropriate for small businesses, in my opinion, anyway. So if you're a small business, I would stick to Google Ads or a similar marketing funnel, right? Number 3, targeting. So like any marketing channel on Google, you're targeting the top 3% of the market, the people that are ready to buy. So very high intent people that are easy to convert. I think that's why Google marketing is better than Facebook marketing in a lot of ways for service businesses. And yeah, like I said, you're targeting people who are looking to hire your service in your location. And finally, it's very scalable. Like I was saying with SEO, you're not getting much feedback, right? Um, you don't know what exactly is happening. Whereas with Google Ads, your account reports right back to you all the stats, the click-through rate, the cost per click, the conversion rate, all that kind of stuff, and you can adjust accordingly to fix your account and improve the performance. And once you get it right, it's honestly just a machine that becomes you put X dollars in and you get X dollars or Y dollars out. So you could be putting in for every $1 you put in, you get $10 out. So that's why I really like it, and it's very methodical and easy to scale. So thank you for watching. I hope you found that interesting or useful. Just so you know, if you want somebody to set up and manage a Google Ads funnel, just like the one I just explained, you can book a call with us below for a free chat. Otherwise, please subscribe and like the video because I'll be breaking down all of the funnel parts in great detail so you can build it yourself and implement it yourself as well. And finally, download my free guides in the description. You can learn how to set up this funnel in more detail, and I'll be consistently updating that and adding more guides on the way as well. So thank you for watching. I hope to talk to you soon. Cheers.